In this video, I'm going to be talking about CV curves and how you can use them for extrusion and also to help you with your modeling. Now, if you go to Create, Curve Tools, CV Curve, what you can do is you can now click on any part of Maya, such as the grid, and start drawing a little curve. Now, curves are just basically lines which help with, say, extrusion modeling, modeling in general, or even to create like a motion path so that an object or a character can follow a specific path. So you're basically just drawing lines really when it comes to that. Now there are two types of ways of doing a curve. You can see there's cubic and there's linear. Now the one we just did now is linear. Basically it adds in the sort of curves, whereas linear it's just lines really. You can very much tell the difference. The main difference between the two is linear is used for straight lines, whereas cubic creates more of a rounded shape. So this is the linear one, this is cubic. Now if I just start again, so you can see here I'm starting off with the basic cube. I know I've been using the cube for a lot of stuff, but the main thing here is that what we're going to do is we're going to use the CV curve to create kind of like an S shape, or just to extrude a face from here to say the top hand corner over here. So rather than me just going face, extrude, moving it across, doing it again, just kind of scaling it and moving it around to make a specific shape, I could use the CV curve tool to actually draw out a line, and when I extrude it, it will just follow that line. So we'll go to my top-down view here. If I go back to Create, CV curve tool, and now I'll just start drawing out the line. So we'll start off from say here. So we'll just make a little bit of a shape. Once you're happy with your shape, make sure to press enter. And I just realized that I was in linear. Let me jump back to cubic. So we'll do something like that. So once you're happy with your curve, and again, it's always helpful to be in the isometric views, which is again the space bar, because again, you're kind of just drawing lines in a 3D space. It helps to be more of a 2D, just so you know which way you're going. So what we're going to do here is select your object that you're going to extrude from. Hold down the mouse button, select face, select the face, and also select the CV curve by holding down the shift button and pressing the left mouse button. Now hold down shift again, right mouse button. Now don't extrude, you want to press this little button next to it, the little white box. Now this is the extrude face options, so we can give a bit of a smooth angle, offset, thickness, extrusion, etc. But here under the curve settings, at the moment it's on selected. So that means whatever CV curve or curve you have selected, it will try to extrude around this curve. So if I press apply right now, you can see that it's going straight towards the end of that curve. But unfortunately, it hasn't really done it the way we wanted. Why? Because again, you need to add those subdivisions. It can't follow that curve around because we're only giving it one subdivision, so only one set of faces and vertexes. So if I go back 1 second, if I increase the divisions, say by 20, and apply, you can see now it's doing its very best attempt to follow it around. The more subdivisions you add, the more manipulation that can be added towards the CV curve. So it's done a pretty decent job. Again, like this part here is kind of desirable, and if you need to go into edit it, you can do. So I can kind of move this up if I need to, make some slight changes to it. But you can kind of see how this follows across that particular line. This is really good if you're doing, say, rope for a well, for example, or whatever kind of weird sort of shapes and curves that you want to do. But you can also use it for modeling as well. So we're going to try to model this wine glass, for example. And again, you want to go to your front view. So we go to create CV curve, and we'll start making, say, half of this wine glass here. So we'll just turn off a second. So you see I'm just using the CV curve to curve around this image here. It's a bit hard to see with the white background there, but probably make do with it. Going a little bit out, but again, just doing this really quick. I think it just goes straight to the top now, like that. Yeah, that should be fine. So press enter once you're finished. So you can kind of see we've got a little bit of outline of it. I'm going to be very surprised to see what it does with that. So make sure you're in the modelings tab here. Now there's a surface option here. Now if you go to the third one, which is revolve, click the little icon here. Now once you're in here, make sure that you're on the polygons. Where it says output geometry, make sure it's on polygons. At default it's at NURBS. Now NURBS is a different way of 3D modeling, and I'm not going to get into it because again, you're never going to use NURBS. It's pretty much something you're never going to be using if you're working in games specifically. Just make sure it's on polygons. And you'll see when you're on polygons, you have some different options here as well. Types, triangles or quads. Just make sure to be in quads. And what you do now is you can project or revolve around specific axes. So if I press Y, for example, you'll see that it'll revolve in the Y axis, and you see that it's done a pretty decent job at actually recreating that shape. You can do it in the other axes as well, but again, it can be kind of something to be desired. But the main one we're doing it in is the Y axis. So you can see that we can use CV curves to kind of mold specific shapes. Now this has actually done a pretty decent job. Again, it is kind of opened up at the moment, so I could just go in and fix that issue. So maybe just bring it in a little bit. The top half is something that can be. Again, I can kind of go in, just bring those together, and then go to merge the vertexes. So you can use CV curves to create any sort of models you want. It's a pretty good way to kind of create more complex stuff. So again, stuff like say glasses, instead of using say the extrusion or box modeling tools, CV curves can kind of give you a nice sort of base to work off. I wouldn't use this for the final version. Again, I would kind of go in just to add more detail to it. Maybe get rid of this bottom here, make it a bit more flat. But it gives you a good starting point. And again, you could use it for say geometry such as like terrain, glasses, sort of more clay modeling sort of stuff. But play around with the CV curves, try to make some really cool little objects with that.